What I use is a large knife for the cabbage, a small knife for the dill and the garlic, and the carrots, a vegetable peel, and a fairly good sized bowl for mixing. Oh, bless you. Okay. And don't forget your baby. Cutting utensils. Be extra careful if you're doing this with your baby. You will also need a mason jar, okay. So this mason jar is pretty small, so I'm only going to use about this much cabbage, if you can see that. Somebody is incredibly tired, but also refuses to sleep. What I do is I very, very finely chop the cabbage. You don't have to do this. You can rip it apart if you want. I just do this because I feel like it's a little more efficient. There will be some people that say you have to cut it finely, you have to cut it, but you don't. It's just as long as it's in small pieces or small-ish pieces. You want to be extra, extra careful with cutting though, especially if you're like me you're like me and your child basically needs to be on you at all times. And just blindly, not blindly, but you know, blindly chopping into this mess just to kind of make it a little smaller, but it's not that important. Then take your bowl and just plop it on in there. Next, onion. No cry, no cry, no cry. In my first batch, I used garlic, carrots, and dill weed. This time, I'm going to use onion, carrots, and dill weed. So, once again, finely chop. I'm going to use probably half of this onion and then save the rest for later. It's a very small mason jar, so you can't fit too much. If you have a bigger mason jar that you're working with, go for it, like go to town. But I have a very small mason jar. So there we go. And now, basically done with this. I'm gonna chop up some dill. Now I'm going to take off my rings. And I'm going to grate, or not grate, but peel finely about 1.5 carrots. I say 1.5 because there's parts of the carrots that I simply won't be able to grate finely without hurting myself. So this is a little messy, but you know, that's the fun part, is the mess. Benefits of sauerkraut are there is a element of cabbage leaves that has a beneficial bacteria, and when it's fermented, that bacteria gets stronger. Basically, it's basically a super duper probiotic. And with sauerkraut that's made with just cabbage and nothing else, it's super high in iron, fiber, vitamin C, and vitamin K, and no, vitamin A. With carrots, it obviously gets beta carotene and more vitamin C and whatever else carrots behold. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. The benefits of dillweed are that dillweed, I believe dillweed has a good amount of calcium in it. But not only that, dillweed regulates female hormones. So if you're experiencing some imbalance, which could cause a missed period or hormonal swings or decline or increase of prolactin levels, dillweed would be very beneficial for you, as well as red raspberry leaf and nettle leaf, stinging nettle. But I'm not adding those to this because that would just taste funny. Onions are super high in iron, vitamin B's, I believe. And onions are also disinfectants. Onions are incredibly good for you. So is garlic. The batch I made before this has a bunch of garlic in it. Garlic is antifungal, also a good source of iron. And so on and so forth. The rest of this I'm going to eat, because I like carrots. Right now anyway, I like carrots. So I actually got more out of that carrot than I was expecting, so I'm just going to leave it at 1 this time and throw that in there. You see? Let me scrape this. The only problem with having the carrots peeled like this is trying to grab them. Anyway. Oh. So what we're going to do now is going to add salt. You can do this without salt, but the salt helps get the moisture out of the cabbage and the carrots. So we'll be doing that. I'm not going to add a lot. I'm probably going to add like at most a tablespoon. So just kind of sprinkle it over. Grab your jar. You'll want this handy for when you're done. Now you're going to massage all of this for about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more if you want. And then, so I'm gonna do that, and then I will be back. I meant to show like a good way to massage the stuff. So let me do that for like 30 seconds and then I'll be back. So here's what it looks like right now. Kind of want to mix it up a little, a little bit first. And then literally you just squeeze. Take it in your hands and squeeze. Take it in your hands and squeeze. What you can also do from time to time, which I found very helpful, is take a fist, your hands full, and just rub them together really hard. Really hard. And do it a couple more times. But otherwise, just keep squeezing and flipping, almost like you're making a tossed salad. I just wanted to show you what it looks like after 5 minutes of massaging. Recall back to earlier in the video where it was basically filling up the entire bowl. Now it's severely reduced, and that's only after 5 minutes. I'm gonna do 5 more minutes and then I'll get back. Okay, so now that I've finished massaging, now we're gonna put it in the mason jar. You don't add water unless you absolutely have to. If you've massaged it for at least 10 minutes, you should be fine. So, get a spoon or a fork or something, because we're gonna need to make sure there are no air bubbles. When you're making this with garlic, it won't be as watery. With onions and carrots, it'll be much more watery. Okay, since I can't find anything appropriate for this jar, I'm going to use part of a cabbage leaf to kind of cover the top as best as I can anyway. Set it aside. I'm going to have it right next to my other batch. It's right here. Garlic, onion. We'll see how that goes. You'll want to let the sauerkraut ferment for about 3 days, and in the meantime, uh, just keep an eye on it, make sure no mold grows. And if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see you next time.